We are live for another Ask a Vegan. Hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. Hi. All coming in. Jeez. How are we? As always for these Ask a Vegans, there is a comment box, like a speech bubble with a question mark. What vegan seat? A seat that isn't made of leather. Or is like leather but not a cow leather, is like a pleather or something like that, or mushroom leather or pineapple leather or something like that. Go vegan, couldn't agree more. Goodness. Get this one a lot. How long have you been vegan? I've been vegan nearly 10 years in June. Hi from Switzerland. Hello. Hello from the UK. Vegetarian is enough. No, vegetarian, unfortunately, we're still talking about consuming dairy, consuming eggs, things like that. And when we're talking about dairy, we're talking about animals who have been selectively bred to overproduce milk. They have their babies taken away from them. They are mutilated. They are killed when they can no longer produce milk. And their babies are also killed if they are not female. So dairy is horrible. If dairy products are bad, then why do people use them? We can refer back to history. We can refer to things that are happening right now. If it's so bad, then why is it happening? Unfortunately, bad things do happen, and it's up to us to change those things. But yeah, with the vegetarian, we're talking about eggs as well. You know, day-old chicks being ground up alive. Yeah. Who am I? I am just somebody who works for Vegan FTA. I am indeed vegan, yes. So unfortunately, vegetarian isn't going to be enough. Hello, defender of animals. Hope you're well. What is more expensive, meat or vegetable composed meat? It depends on what brand it is, where it's coming from. There was a Lancet report that explained that vegan diets can be 32% cheaper in places like America. So you can actually have a very cheap vegan plant-based diet. So it's really up to your budget. You work within your budget. If anyone knows about budgeting, yeah, it can be difficult when you don't have very much money. Hello, logical consistency. Hope you're well. Why not milk? If you're talking about dairy milk, we're talking about, as I just said a moment ago, we're talking about animals who have been selectively bred. They have their babies taken away from them because that milk was meant for those babies. Those, if they're male, they get killed. You may have seen something called veal. That is a baby cow. And yeah, these animals are mutilated. They're exploited and used as commodities to have that milk. So it's not good. It's not what you want. No to dairy. Christspiracy, yeah, we've been covering. We had an interview with Kip, who is responsible for Christspiracy. It's very awesome. I haven't yet watched it. A lot of people have watched it already, and it's getting very positive reviews. It's really interesting, and I'm excited to watch it myself and find out, you know, what the happenings are with it. You're vegan for 3 years? Hell yeah, vegan for 3 years. How long has everyone in the chat been vegan? Have you got some non-vegans in the chat? That would be interesting. Let me know if you're not vegan and why you're not vegan. And maybe we can talk about, you know, those reasonings and go through them. That would be cool. Let's have a look. I'm vegan and I hear people say food is not bioavailable. What would you say to that? So the question of bioavailability isn't the thing. It's whether or not the health outcome is good or not. It's whether or not our health outcome data is looking good. And the health outcome data on plant-based diets is looking very good. It's looking positive. It's suitable for all stages of life. So anyone who wants to say that, just say, like, what are the actual health outcomes? What does it look like? Can we expect negative health outcomes? Is that something to worry about? And from what I've seen, the answer is no. So the bioavailability isn't the important thing. It's how we are, like, actually affected, you know, by consuming just plants, not, you know, forcibly including animals. When do you think all of them will convert to veganism? I don't know. It's a tough one because, you know, we don't have a world free of, say, human murder right now. You know, I don't know when we will see a world free of that completely. I don't know if we'll ever see that. But I think we will see a majority vegan world. We might not see it, but, you know, people who are ahead of us will see that. It is the kind of logical progression of us progressing. So, yeah. What wouldn't make it vegan to have plant-based meat, sorry? I'm confused by that. How would they not be vegan? It just it doesn't defy what it means to be vegan, to be consuming those things. Yeah, just check out the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, like Satan Inside is saying, you know, one of the most trusted bases for dietetics is saying, yeah, this is suitable. Sorry, I've missed a load of comments. Vegan 14, vegetarian over 40. Sad I didn't know about the horrors of dairy earlier. One trip to the farm sanctuary and immediately vegan. Cannot believe everyone does not feel the same. The world is so... I think it cut you off. Yeah, that's... Dairy is... It's difficult. We were talking about this on the live stream yesterday. It's difficult to quantify just and pick an industry that's like the worst because there's so many of them that are so terrible. Hello, Chris. When we stop killing animals, we are more likely to be compassionate and have more peace. I mean, you know, when we see abusive people, a lot of the time they have a history of abusing animals. It kind of follows that if we are to treat animals that aren't human like commodities, we're also going to see humans in that way. It wouldn't be a surprise when that happens. What's the difference between the vegan and vegetarian diet? Please reply. So the vegetarian diet is including things like eggs, including things like dairy. It also doesn't take into account, you know, someone who's vegetarian could well be buying leather. They could well be buying animal tested ingredients, you know, things like household items that have been tested on animals. But veganism is the avoidance of exploitation and killing to animals. So, you know, I know you're asking what diet difference there is, but there's a lifestyle difference because it's a completely different philosophy. Are people talking about plant sentience? Yeah, plants are not sentient. It's very different. How do you change your voice like that? I think it's just doing it. I think it's just a weird glitch. People have said about that a couple of times and I've heard it in a couple of live streams. Please tell some vegan food for daily users. Oh, there's so many. Like there's more vegan products. Like we're talking about cereals, we're talking about nuts, beans, seeds, talking about bread, pasta, rice, potatoes, all the vegetables, the fruits, like thousands. I could just sit here and list them, but like most of them are going to be vegan, more so than not. It's just that, you know, animal products are put into a lot of things. My voice sounds deep. That's really weird. I have quite a deep voice anyway, but not to the level that it's doing it. A good recipe for vegan scrambled egg. Been vegan for 8 years and still can't find something close. Using tofu, but mixing it up and using like firm tofu and silken tofu. There are some really good, I can't think off the top of my head, I'm afraid, but there are some good channels on Instagram that make like vegan scrambled egg and everything. How can I persuade my girlfriend to become vegan? She is a meat addict. Yeah, so when you're persuading your girlfriend, I think it's, you know, talking about how important it is to you, and have you informed her of all of the things that happen? Like, is she aware of what happens in these industries and what the result is if she's not vegan? Like, has she made that connection? It doesn't sound like that. Oh, it sounds the same. Okay. I don't know then. Yeah, if you want to ask a question, the best way to do it is to put it in the comment box with a question mark. You think it's just the stream slowing down once in a while? It might be that. Weird. Plants are not considered sentient, they still do have emotions. How can something that's not sentient have emotions? Because if you're not a subjective individual with an experience, like emotions are an experience. So to say that doesn't really compute, it doesn't make sense. Do you eat eggs? No, because eggs are not vegan. They are the product of, we're talking about animals being ground up alive, day old if they're male, talking about these animals being selectively bred to overproduce these eggs, and what's going to happen to them when they can't produce eggs any longer. They're going to be killed. Yes, you are right. Yeah. It's all these products, it's just so easy to like oust them from you don't eat eggs too? Fantastic. It's so good to like, it's just a habit shift. Like you are used to a certain way of doing things and it seems like you couldn't live without that thing, but it's just a habit. Would you eat lab meat? I wouldn't personally. I just don't see flesh as food anymore. But it is an interesting innovation. Love liking your photos on LinkedIn so connections can see too. Yeah, please make sure to follow us on other platforms as well. We're not just on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We're on Threads, which is Instagram. We're on Twitter. What about yeast? I'm still confused about that. What about yeast? Yeast isn't sentient. I mean, they do feel pain. You're talking about plants. No, they don't. When people are saying this is utter science denial. This is denial of the consensus. Plants do not feel pain. And if, big brain, if you are someone who's not vegan and you think, oh, plants feel pain, so, you know, what's the point? You know, we are feeding a copious amount of plants to animals. There's something called the trophic pyramid or the law of thermodynamics. If you are, you know, adding more resources, adding more animals, then yeah, that's going to be a problem even in that context. So even if they did, it would be the case of, oh, okay, I'm still compelled to go vegan if I want to have a positive impact. Yeah, plants don't have a nervous system. They are just in a completely different category. So to think that they do suffer, they do feel pain is really weird. But yeah, animals are in the same category as us. We've evolved alongside them. I mean, belief or not belief, like even if you're religious, like there's no scripture that mandates the killing of animals. So you can be someone who's religious and is also a vegan, as well as someone who is an atheist, agnostic. Milk, well, yeah, we went through, you know, cow milk, how these animals, they are exploited for milk. That milk is supposed to be for babies, their babies. Where do their babies go? We see them in these calf hutches, separated from their mothers. Vegan is life. Absolutely. Some of these comments today. Goodness gracious. I'm trying to like see them all. But even though plants don't feel pain, how does it give us authority to consume them? Well, we need to consume something. So it's better to consume something that doesn't feel pain, right? So what do you mean? What gives us the authority? If look, I'm going to whack the table. I don't need to care that I've whacked the table. The table doesn't have feelings. If I'm going to whack something, it should be the table, right? But if that were like a person, that would have been really like not okay. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to worry or be concerned with the table because the table is not a subject. You know? It's as simple as that. Like, what gives... I don't know what you mean. Vegan is best for planet and health. Well, primarily, more than anything, it's better for the animals because then the animals don't get their throats slit, they don't get gassed, they don't get hung upside down, they don't get boiled alive, all these things happening to them. Do you eat bread? Yeah, you can be a bit careful with bread sometimes because sometimes it does contain milk. Sometimes it also contains something called L-cysteine. L-cysteine is the hair, the feathers, the fur of animals. It's actually really disgusting that that's put in food. But that's not with like all breads. Most breads are going to be vegan by default. But again, if we mean the yeast isn't sentient, so it's not of concern. Do you consume honey? No, honey is again an animal product. There's some details about what happens in the honey industry, with cutting off of the wings of the queen bee. She'll also be artificially inseminated. It's really weird to watch. And the honey's meant for the bees, and then we're taking it from them. So that's a problem there. How are they being treated nicely? And it doesn't matter if you're exploiting someone, even if you're treating them nicely, there's going to be a fundamental problem with that exploitation. What do you tell to someone who understands the cruelty but is okay being disconnected? I think it's just, important to be a presence that still just keeps talking about it. Because if you keep talking about it, then it will ride home just how important it is. And I've had personal experiences with people who have been so disconnected, they've not cared. They've been like, oh, I'd eat a dog, I don't care. And then they've gone vegan just like that. There's a switch. We don't really know what's going on we don't know at all what's going on inside someone's head, whether or not they're being honest to us or honest with themselves. You just have to keep at it. Definitely spend more time on people who are willing to make that connection, because you're probably going to be more efficient doing that way. I've been trying to be vegetarian since 4 months and my body feels weak. Some friends suggested becoming flexitarian. What is a flexitarian? Flexitarian essentially doesn't mean very much, because it's just about consuming less meat. Like some days you don't, or consuming less dairy, which anyone could claim that they're doing. So it doesn't really end up meaning very much. If your body feels weak, then you should talk to someone professional about that. But a lot of the time that can mean there's some sort of deficiency that you need to supplement, or you're just not eating enough. A lot of people, a lot of the time, they try new diets, vegan or not, because veganism isn't a diet anyway, but within what would be considered vegan, and they don't eat enough, and then they wonder why they feel not very well. You have to be eating enough. What about the milk of another species of animal is essential for growth? We don't. How would we, just using logic, why would we require the milk of another species of animal? Bearing in mind, milk is designed for us in infancy and then we wean off. Never mind that. So it's for when we're babies, and then we're talking about a different species completely. What sense does that make? And if you have any data that would show that milk is essential for our growth, that we require the milk of another species of animal. What are the alternatives to honey? Things like maple syrup, agave nectar. There are vegan honeys that are made with apple and stuff like that, or lavender. Can you tell me a protein source that has good bioabsorption? Yeah, you're talking about soy, talking about beans, talking about vegan meats and everything like that. I don't know what you mean by bioavailability. Are you saying that they're not bioavailable? We have a few more questions, and then we will end stream. No, I'm not looking for scripture. I'm looking for scientific data. Is there a paper that demonstrates that we require the milk of another species of animal? If you have an author and a title of an academic paper, then I'll write it down and have a look. Yeah, a lot of people are lactose intolerant. To my understanding, it's because we're not babies anymore. there is an enzyme in milk called lactose. There's an enzyme called lactase, and we don't have that when we wean off the milk of our mother. So it's a sugar that then can't be broken down. And then that's what leads to the problems of the sugar that's in the body can't be digested. And then it leads to all these issues. But it's, yeah, we're not babies anymore, and we're not baby cows. Can you date someone who's not vegan? I mean, that's fully up to you. You don't have an obligation to date anyone you don't wish to date. There's no mandate that you can't. Or anything like that. It might just be something that's uncomfortable. It might be a difference in, your morals that makes it difficult to, have good conversations with each other, or, it might make like dinner time or things difficult. But it's fully up to you whether or not you do. A lot of people, they date non-vegans, and then those people go vegan, not to be something that's guaranteed or anything like that. But yeah. Hello. Hello everyone joining. I hope you're well. Yeah, these books, do they contain scientific data? I'm ready. I've got a pen here. I'm ready to write down the scientific paper. So in the book, is there any scientific literature, demonstrating that we require the milk of another species of animal? Just let me know. Did I start out as a vegetarian? No, I just went from non-vegan, avid non-vegan, to vegan. I would eat any animal. I didn't care. And then yeah, it just clicked. What about veganism would entail that hair loss, Prek? That's what I would ask. Did you ask them, what is it about it? Because hair loss is usually because of, not eating enough. That's usually, where that comes from. Or it can be some other, hormone issues, to my understanding. But doctors, they are very good at what they do. But they're not dietitians. Dietetics is something different. So I think we have a habit of just an authority says something and immediately we worry. But they're very good at specifically what they're doing. But they all have specializations. They all have things that they specialize in. There is zero scientific literature stating we need cow's milk. Exactly. That's why I'm interested in seeing. I am diabetic, and when I told my doctor and dietitian that I'm vegan, they said it's the best diet you can have. Beef is so tasty. Oh yeah, vegan beef is amazing. Vegan beef is amazing. What's the most omnivore food been? Not really any. We're spoilt for choice in the UK. I just have what I used to have, but vegan. You're trying to go vegan? Excellent. Are our posts helping? Are they something that's helpful? Thank you for the fire emojis. Okay, thank you so much for joining this live stream. Thank you to all of you for joining. Do appreciate it. Yeah, we'll do more of these for sure. And just so you know, we also are doing these on YouTube and Facebook. So, these live streams on Instagram can be kind of weird. They're not the easiest to kind of stay on. But your posts are really helpful. That's fantastic. Yeah. No, not cow beef, silly. Vegan beef. Vegan beef is amazing, not cow beef. You don't want that. An animal had to be bolt gunned in the head, have their throat slit. You don't want that. That's silly. You want the vegan beef, okay? But yeah, we are also on YouTube, Facebook, everything like that. Please go over and make sure that you're subscribed and you can see and you can join for more. It would be nice to have vegans in the comment section. Thank you so much. Do hope you're well and see you soon.